In this week's double episode season premiere, we meet two incredible women who meant every word when they repeated at the altar they will love and cherish their husband in sickness and in health. They share their unimaginable journeys as caregivers and share with us how they turned their pain into purpose. In today's part 2 episode, we meet Meriam Boldewijn. After her husband's multiple surgeries and organ transplants, Meriam was burnt out in her role as a caregiver. Years later, her brother called her unable to speak audibly when she realized he was having a stroke. Feeling the unbalanced shift of emotional trauma and compassion fatigue repeat again, she decided to invest in herself and created a system to stay in power and in harmony. While building a community, she created Caregiver 2.0, helping other caretakers understand that they are not alone in their journey. All right. Well, welcome back, you guys. And thank you, ladies, for hanging out and for our listeners hanging out with us. We are back for part 2 of the season premiere. And now we're going to get into Meriam and her story. So, Meriam, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
First of all, thank you for having both of us on your
Yes.
podcast. My name is Meriam. I live in the Netherlands and I'm 50 years young. I
Okay.
say young, yes,
Yes,
I
of
am young.
course.
I've been a caregiver for more than 20 years to my husband and my brother, so two of my favorite men. I met my husband in 1998, and as of 1999,
Mm-hmm.
he started getting really ill. He
Mm-hmm.
was a diabetic since he was
Mm-hmm.
15 years old, and he suffered from kidney failure.
Mm.
And as of 2000, the year 2000, he was on dialysis.
Oh, wow.
That was a rough time. And in 2003, he had his kidney pancreas transplant.
Wow. Wow.
While taking care of him, I burnt out.
Yeah.
To give you an idea what my day looked like, I
Yep.
woke up at 5:30, went to the office, started at 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
This was the time when he was in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I worked until 3:30 p.m.
Yeah.
Had to take the underground to my home. Took
Mm-hmm.
the car, 50-minute drive to the hospital.
Right.
Stayed with him until 9:30, 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Came back home, checked mail, household,
Mm-hmm.
everything. So before I could sleep, it was already 11:30 or later. So the
Wow.
next morning, the same thing. This went
Mm-hmm.
on for weeks, months,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't take good care of myself. I
No.
didn't
Oh, wow.
take good care of myself at all.
Mm-hmm.
So 95% of my time I spent on Martin,
Mm-hmm.
my husband, and 5% that was left when I was doing something I enjoy, I felt
Mm-hmm.
guilty.
Mm.
Or I was thinking, oh,
Caregiver's guilt. Mm.
or I was thinking, maybe he needs me. What is he doing right now? So
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't enjoying my me time,
Yeah.
right?
Wow.
Because I was feeling guilty.
Uh-huh.
And I remember that we had a conversation with a social worker at a hospital after Martin's surgery, one of his 25 plus surgeries, because Martin also had groin rupture. He broke his ankle.
Oh
He
my
had
gosh.
eye surgeries, elbow
Wow.
surgery. Yeah,
Oh,
uh,
wow.
he had many, many, many surgeries, but kidney transplant, those two, because he needed two major surgeries, were the
Mm-hmm.
biggest surgeries. And his life depended on it because it was either kidney pancreas surgery or
Mm-hmm.
die within a year.
Oh, wow.
Living with fear, yes, it was either death or die within a year. Um, so living with fear, anxiety, stress,
Yeah, yeah.
um, it, it was beyond. Um, now that I'm talking about it,
Mm-hmm.
I'm reliving it again.
Oh,
Right? Um, I remember we had a conversation with a social worker while he was in the hospital, and she asked him how he was doing after surgery.
yeah.
Somehow his body rejected all the salt, so he lost a lot of weight after
Mm-hmm.
surgery, and it was critical. But he was finally recovering, and he was finally doing better.
Mm-hmm.
So um, he told her that he was doing great, which was the truth. And then he said, Miriam, how are you doing? Jasmine, I cried for 15 minutes.
Mm.
I cried, I sobbed, and
Mm-hmm.
I was mad at myself,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Because I didn't want Martin to see me like that.
Right.
I was his strength. I
Uh-huh.
was the one who he could rely on, and I was the one who was taking care of him,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was mad at myself. But when I came home, I looked at myself in the mirror
Mm-hmm.
and I said, Miriam, you can't go on like this.
Mm-hmm.
What if something happens to you? Who's going to take care of Martin?
Exactly. Yeah.
And
Yep.
if you're not feeling well, how are you going to take care of Martin?
Mm-hmm.
So, sis, listen, what are you going to do about this? And you know that negative chatter we all have in our
Yeah.
head?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. No, she can do this. She can do
Mm-hmm.
this. I was like, okay, move on, go
Mm-hmm.
away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Miriam, what are you going to do? And that's burning out
Uh-huh.
was my eye opener.
Wow.
It was my eye opener.
Yeah. Yeah.
Since that moment, I thought of many things. What can I do to take better care of myself? What can I do to be a better caregiver? What can I
Mm-hmm.
do to enjoy my time without feeling guilty?
Mm-hmm.
And it took me months
Yeah.
to discover
Right.
what I can do. I started asking for help
Mm-hmm.
with, and
Good.
it
Yeah.
wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. It wasn't
No.
easy at all. Um, People drove me to the hospital, or they brought me groceries, or little things, just little things.
Yeah.
And I got to spend more time for myself and have more time and enjoy it and actually enjoy it
Mm-hmm.
without feeling guilty. But it wasn't within a week, it wasn't within a month
Mm-hmm.
that I could enjoy doing something I love, or even watching a
Right.
movie
Yeah.
when he was finally home, watching a movie together and
Yeah.
really enjoy time together.
Yeah.
Um, so that's part of my caregiving role. When Martin was finally doing better in 2012, 8 years
Mm-hmm.
ago, almost 9 years ago, when
Mm-hmm.
I was at the office, my brother called me and he was talking strange. He was
Mm-hmm.
having a stroke while he called me.
Oh my goodness.
So I had to call 911. Here in the Netherlands, it's 112 while I was at the office, not knowing if my brother would make it.
Oh my goodness.
So I went to his apartment. The firemen, paramedics, police, they
Mm-hmm.
had to break in the glass of his door to get inside.
Oh wow. Because he
Oh,
was not responding.
he was not responding. He
Wow.
couldn't walk anymore because he was paralyzed on the right side of his body.
Uh-huh.
So those 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks after his stroke, we didn't know if he would make it.
Mm-hmm.
And we celebrated his 47th birthday
Mm-hmm.
in the hospital with
Wow.
him.
Yeah.
So that was another phase of my caregiving
Right.
role
Right.
for my brother with anxiety and stress. But I used the techniques and tools I learned after I burned out back in
Yeah.
2003, 4,
Right.
because I felt the exhaustion again. I
Mm-hmm.
felt that I was suffering from unwanted feelings again.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And I reminded myself of the techniques and tools I had taught myself.
Uh-huh.
Like, Miriam, sis, no, this is not going to happen. You're not going to burn out. Not again. You promised yourself that it
Mm-hmm.
won't happen again. You
Mm-hmm.
have to keep your promise. And not only that, you have your husband to, not that Martin needed care 24/7 anymore, but
Mm-hmm.
you're married.
Yeah.
And now I had to take care of my brother
Yeah.
together with the family, but still you're
Right.
taking care of your brother. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to divide my time between my brother, my husband, and myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow.
So yeah, it was a tough ride.
Wow, wow. And Miriam, just to give people some perspective, what background did you come from? What profession did you come from prior to meeting Martin and then undergoing all of his journey and then your brothers?
I finished my communication and management
Mhm. Mhm.
background,
Mhm.
and I started as secretary and ended
Mhm.
up as uh, a school attendant officer for the
Mhm.
government. I work for the government. I still work 20 hours
Yeah.
per week
Uh-huh.
because at the time I met Martin, I was working full time.
Mhm.
But I couldn't work full time anymore. So I'm still working for the government for 20 hours a week, but I have a management communication background.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it really helped me, especially the communication. But
Right.
I must admit that when you hear communication, you might think that, oh, why was asking for help a problem for her?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But when it comes to caregiving, when it comes to your loved one, when it comes to taking care of someone you love
Mhm.
and you protect,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
You somehow don't want to ask for help.
Exactly. Yeah.
What will
Yeah.
they think of me? Maybe they will think I'm weak.
Mhm.
That was one of my biggest struggles.
Mhm. Or that they'll think you're weak because you're asking for help, and so it'll cause everybody else around you to break down even more because you're supposed to be the strong one. You're
Yes.
supposed to be the one that holds everybody together. But
Yes.
now you have this inner turmoil, and you feel like if I'm going to let them down. If I ask for help, I'm letting them down. And so that's a battle we presume, or about, that's our perception, but it's never
Yeah.
everybody else's perception, right? And I'm sure you learned that later on.
Yes, I definitely learned. I learned the hard way, just like
Yeah.
Ashley. I learned the hard way, and I felt like a superhero, to be honest.
Mm, mm.
Now that I think back, don't do it.
Right, right.
No, just don't. Don't think you're a superhero.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and burning out,
Right.
it was terrible.
It is.
It was so dark.
Uh-huh.
I'm using the word dark because
Mhm.
that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
It is.
What
It is.
how
Yeah.
Miriam, if I can ask, what did burnout look like for you? Like
Right.
how
Yeah.
did it manifest itself for you?
Mhm.
After I talked to the social worker, that's when they discovered it. What I was doing, I was not interested in socializing. I wasn't interested in anything. Um, I wasn't paying attention to my what I was eating.
Mhm.
Um, the only thing
Mm.
I did was okay, Martin, like tunnel vision, right? And
Mm.
um, I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep. Maybe I
Mhm.
slept for 2 hours. That's not
Hmm.
much.
Yeah. No.
And also the denial. Something told me you're too exhausted. Maybe you're burnout. No, you're not burned out.
Mm. Mhm.
And not talking to your doctor. No, I don't need to go to the doctor.
Mhm.
Those kinds of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're so exhausted that you're on a sort of an autopilot.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
with the wrong autopilot.
Right, exactly, the wrong
And
one.
when it came out, oh, it I couldn't stop crying.
Mm.
I simply couldn't stop crying.
And so let's revisit that, Miriam. You said when she finally asked you how you were doing, you started crying and it was 15 minutes worth of time. Like when was that in your journey? I'm sure it wasn't at the beginning. At
It
what
wasn't at
point?
the beginning.
Uh,
All those years of Martin's dialysis,
mhm,
the time we heard that he was number one on the list for his transplant
mhm,
surgery, the excitement, the fear, because
mhm,
if he doesn't have his surgery within a year, he might die.
mhm, mm,
So the stress, the anxiety, the fear, living with fear,
mhm,
it was all adding up, adding up, adding up. And this happened after Martin's first surgery,
okay.
because
Yeah.
he needed two surgeries.
Mm,
So in November uh, 2003, he had his first surgery.
mhm,
After that, it happened between the two surgeries. So 3 months later, he had his second surgery, and it's a major surgery.
mhm,
So while he was having his second surgery, I was in the burnout, but I
mhm.
Mm.
still needed to go to the hospital to
Yeah.
visit my husband. And
Mhm.
so I had to cope with my husband having a second surgery, second
Yeah.
major surgery,
Yeah.
and recovering from a burnout.
Wow. Wow. And just to put things into perspective too, I think our viewers may not understand that being on a transplant list doesn't mean you're getting a transplant tomorrow. You have to find the perfect match. You have to even get up to the top of the list because it's not a list in your local area. It's a nationwide
No,
list, correct? So
it
nationwide list.
Oh.
yeah,
So you're
Europe.
staying, yeah,
In my case, in our case, it's Europe.
all of
Yeah,
Europe. So
yeah.
the entire continent of Europe, and then we have to have the right blood match. We have to have all kinds of different matches, A, B, C, D, E, F, G to
Yes.
match and come
Yeah,
together
yeah.
before he's next because he might be the first on the list, but he might not be the next one getting whatever that organ is because it could be person number 13 who has A, B, C, D, E, F, G matching up for that transplant.
You
So,
know, yeah, it's quite it's not frightening, but it's the excitement when you
mhm,
hear that you're number one on the list.
mhm,
You can't leave the country, of course, and you're so. Whenever the phone rang, we were like, okay,
right,
okay,
right.
maybe it's now, maybe it's now.
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
So I remember that I got a phone call. I was at the office again, and I got a phone call from Martin's doctor.
uh-huh,
Miriam, where is Martin? I can't reach him, and it's time for him to have surgery.
uh-huh.
What happened? Martin was still working, and he forgot his mobile phone on his desk, and he
Mm,
was in a meeting in
mm,
another room.
mhm, mhm,
So I said, okay, I will call him. No worries. The reason why the doctor called is that Martin, he needed to go have dialysis first, to clean his system first, his
mhm,
body first, before surgery, because that
mhm,
would work much better.
exactly.
So I tried calling Martin for 20 minutes.
Mhm,
Every minute I called.
mhm,
So finally he said, hi, Han. I said, Han, it's time. What do you mean it's time?
mm.
Because he was
Run!
working 30 minutes away from the hospital and
Yeah.
he used the train to go to his office. I said, honey, it's time. He said, what do you mean? It's time. I said, it's time, honey. Second chance,
Yeah.
life,
Oh,
quality of life.
yeah.
He said, oh, okay, okay. I said, okay, if you take the train to the hospital, I
Uh-huh.
will go home, take the car and your stuff, and then we will meet at the hospital
Mm,
while you are on dialysis. He said, okay. So that's what I did.
mhm,
I met him there, and I remember that he they put him on dialysis for only 2 hours or so instead of 4. And
Mhm.
when everything was okay, his blood, everything, they said,
Yeah.
okay, now it's time for you to drive to the other hospital. That was a 40-minute drive,
Uh-huh.
and we will call them that you are on your way.
Yeah.
When you get there, go to the ER, say who you are, and they will take you to the right place in the
Uh-huh.
hospital.
Uh-huh.
It was a 40-minute drive. I was there in 20 minutes.
Uh-huh. Ooh.
His mom came to the hospital, and the two of us brought him to the other hospital.
Mhm.
He wasn't allowed to eat anymore since the
Mhm.
news in the morning. It was 10:30 when he got the news, and we arrived at, I think, 5:30 in the afternoon. We were at the hospital, and he wasn't allowed to eat anything
Mhm.
just in case. So the doctors came and they said, okay, Martin, we're going to do some tests,
Mhm.
because it's so strange when you hear that the organs are on their way with a
Mhm.
taxi driver.
Mm.
Then I see a cool box with two of those things in it. And but please keep in mind that it can be canceled at the
Mhm.
last minute. We are preparing you right now, but it can be canceled because when the organs arrive, they do another test,
Mm. Make
right?
sure they're still good.
So
Yeah.
they can put you on everything you can imagine, but everything has to be 99.99% okay before
Yeah.
they do transplant surgery.
Yeah.
So anyway, 7:30 in the evening, we heard Martin's good to go. And
Uh-huh.
as I'm telling you this, I'm getting
Yeah.
goosebumps again.
I have
Um,
goosebumps.
Mhm.
yeah, we, his mom and I, we took him to just in front of the operation room,
Yeah.
the OR, and I kissed him and I told him, "Hon, let's do this.
Mhm.
Let's do this. Tomorrow when I see you,
Yeah.
you will have another color. You won't be gray anymore.
Mhm.
You'll be pink. You will have a pink color." And he
Yeah.
said, I am so ready. The surgeon asked me, Miriam, what do you want me to do? What do you want to do? Sorry, do you want to stay here? I don't know how long it will take because we need to transplant two organs,
Mhm.
a kidney and a pancreas. So I said, no, 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 I'm going home. I want to sleep in my own bed.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Please call me when you're done with it. So he said, okay, I promise I will call you as soon as I'm finished. I said, okay. So I came home. My mom-in-law, she said, I'm not going home. I'm going to stay with you. And she did.
Mhm.
We went to bed, I think at 10 p.m., 10:30 p.m.
Yeah.
At 3 a.m. the next morning, I woke up and I prayed. And at
Mhm.
3:15, the phone rang.
Mhm.
15 minutes later, the phone rang, and the surgeon said, I have never, ever, ever seen such beautiful organs. Your
Oh.
husband is totally fine.
Oh.
And you can see him later in the ICU.
Yeah.
Don't get scared
Mhm.
when you see him because of all the stuff he's
Yeah.
connected to. I
Yeah.
said, okay. So the next morning, the first thing I did was send an email to all family, friends who were concerned and who knew about this situation and told them what had happened the day before.
Uh-huh.
I waited till I heard from the surgeon
Mhm.
to make a nice story and tell them what just happened the last 24 hours. And then his mom and I headed to the hospital, and the first thing I noticed when I saw Martin is his color,
Mhm. Mhm.
a healthy color instead
Nice.
of gray.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
And he took my hand and he said, "We did it, hon. We did it. We did it." Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. He
Yay.
squeezed my hand. He was so sleepy because of all the medicine.
yeah.
He was
Mhm.
still I think it's groggy or
Yeah, right.
and he said, "We did it, hon."
Oh,
His hands were warm again, you know.
yeah.
And I sighed and I looked at his mom and she kissed her son and she said, "Son, oh my goodness, you did it, you did it, you did it."
Mhm.
So that was one of the most beautiful days, one of the most beautiful moments in
Mhm.
our lives. At that time, we weren't married yet when he had those major surgeries. And when I'm feeling kind of down, I think of those moments
Mhm.
and embrace them
Yeah. Yeah.
because somebody died,
Yeah.
and that's the reason why Martin is alive.
Mhm.
Ooh, that was powerful right
Right.
there.
Yeah. And again, back to that survivor's guilt. Now you're on the other end of survivor's guilt of being the recipient of donated organs, knowing that somebody's life had passed in order for that to happen. So lots and lots of emotions going on there, lots of feelings. And how do you deal with that, Miriam? How did you deal with it?
Those feelings of um, that someone died,
Hmm.
mixed feelings.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel so sorry for the person
Hmm.
that died.
Hmm.
But before I met Martin,
Hmm.
I became a donor.
Hmm.
Before I met Martin,
Yeah.
not knowing
Yeah.
what my life would be like
Mm.
a
Hmm.
couple of years later.
Hmm.
I've I'm grateful for the fact that Martin had a second chance
Hmm.
because that's how I feel about it. But I also feel so sorry
Hmm.
for the person who died. And it's sometimes I ask Martin, doesn't it feel strange to know that you have organs in your body that
Hmm.
you were not born with, that are
Hmm.
somebody else's? And he always says, no, they are mine.
Hmm.
It's the mindset.
Mhm. Mhm.
Martin is doing so great.
Yeah.
His doctor always says, you are one in a million.
Yeah.
You are
Yeah.
using so just a few pills per day
Mhm.
for a transplant patient.
Right, yeah.
It's not common.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Usually they use a lot of pills, they need a lot of pills
Mhm. Mhm.
a day, and Martin, I think he only has 4 or 5 per
Yeah.
day.
Wow.
Not
That's
common. And
incredible.
yeah, they say we wish that all patients were
Yeah.
like you.
Right. Right.
And I do believe that it has something to do with his intention.
Uh-huh.
Just like Troy, he said,
Yes.
I'm not ready. I'm
Yeah.
gonna beat this. I am gonna beat it. And those things they put in my body, they are
Mhm. Mm. Yeah.
mine.
You know what, Miriam? And I have to say, I think this has a lot, this might be like the key for transplant recipients is when I was in nursing school, I oriented and trained out of a kidney transplant unit in Washington, D.C. And that was one of their primary functions was to do that and then take care of people with end stage renal disease. And a lot of times we saw people come back a week or 2 weeks later and they were and their body was rejecting the
Uh-huh.
transplant. And so now you've not only gone through the emotions and the roller coasters of you now need to be on the transplant list, and then you go to the top of the transplant list and it's a waiting game. And in your case, you never know when that call is going to happen, and you have
Mhm.
to be ready. And in Martin's case, he had to be ready to come back and do dialysis and completely get himself prepped and ready, only to now for the organs to arrive, for us to have to do another check to make sure that they was cared for and packaged correctly once it arrived, and then
Yeah.
do the surgery, have a successful surgery. And then on top of that, now it's up to your body's responsibility to reject or accept. And
Yeah.
so, and maybe Martin's mindset was part of it. Maybe that is it. When he said, "No, these are mine."
Yeah,
Um,
I'm pretty sure. The
that's
way he thinks about it, the way he handles it, the way
yeah,
he coped with
right.
it,
Yeah.
it was amazing. I was so concerned about what will happen. What if,
Hmm.
what if, what if, what if, what if?
Hmm.
No,
Hmm.
what if?
Exactly.
And he said, no, what if?
Yeah.
I will beat it.
Uh-huh.
This,
See,
this,
Miriam, it is so interesting that you say that because I went through the same thing. Now, why is it as the caregiver, we were questioning, but the men that we are caring for said, "Oh no, this is how it's
Mm.
going to be." Why do you think that is? Why
I,
why do you think
I,
we
s-
have such doubt, but they were so
yeah,
firm
Great
in their
question.
words of confirmation?
Yeah.
They're so
I think,
strong.
I think it has to do with the fear we were living with, the fear of losing someone, the fear
Mm.
of, um, yeah, the fear of losing someone. You
Mm.
don't want to be there. You don't want to think about it, and that's why they are in a position of surviving. They are in a position of,
Yeah.
um, no, this will I won't allow this.
Yeah.
That's their mindset.
Right.
And Martin was like, I remember a day back in the time when he wasn't on dialysis yet, but he was a diabetic. We just moved to this house,
Mhm.
and it was a new village. And I remember that we had some visitors. Um, I remember Martin, he put the coffee on the table. They were just for 10, 15 minutes. He
Mhm.
put the coffee on the table and he had a strange look. I
Mhm.
told my friends, I have to call 911 now. Now. I've never seen this in his eyes.
Hmm.
He didn't react anymore. I talked to him and I told him, I have to measure his blood pressure because I
Mhm.
think his blood sugar is very low.
Mhm.
Martin made a fist and wouldn't open his hand so I could measure his
Hmm.
Okay.
blood sugar. So I had to whisper. He was sitting in a chair, and I whispered, "Hon, please open your hand for me so I can measure it." In the meantime, I had already called 911 because he had a strange look in his eyes, really strange. I had never seen it. So I told one of the visitors, please go outside. We are new in this village. It's a new buildings. So the paramedics, maybe they won't be able to find
Mhm.
our home.
Mhm.
Google uh, Maps doesn't know this area yet. So one of
Right.
them went outside, the other one stayed inside. I tried to measure. Finally, he opened his hand so I could measure him,
Mhm.
and it was so low the device couldn't give a number.
Mhm.
So
Just
the
error
first thing that
message.
crossed my mind is, oh my gosh, he will go in a coma.
Oh.
So after 5 minutes, paramedics came in and I told them you don't have to measure his blood sugar anymore because it's so low. The device says low, no
Mm.
number.
Mhm.
So they said, oh, thank you so much for doing that. Now we know that we can put the infusion and
Mhm.
Hmm.
glucose
Mhm.
right away because that's what he
Good.
needs.
Yes.
Well, Jasmine, we had to sit with there were two more. I was just talking to him, and two were sitting on his feet,
Uh-huh.
his legs, sorry. He was so strong and he wouldn't cooperate. He didn't know what he was doing,
Right. He was
right?
confused.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So after 3 minutes, it felt like 30 minutes at
Uh-huh.
that time. They were able to put the infusion with the glucose.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
after 2, 3 minutes, he said, what happened?
Mm. Mhm.
Oh my gosh, he's back.
Yeah.
But the only thing I could think about was if he goes in a coma now,
Uh-huh.
it's over.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Miriam, that's just You have been through so much, both of you ladies. Ashley, you as well have been through so much. Um, but Miriam, you have not only experienced your journey with your husband, but then repeating similar journey with your brother years later when he had his
Yes,
stroke. So
yes.
at what point did you finally said you said when you realized that you were repeating the same steps as before and you noticed it, what was it that you saw and what was it that you did to change the direction that you were going in?
First of all, um, asking for help.
Mm,
When my brother had a stroke,
mhm.
I, it was a must to ask for help.
Yeah,
Um, um, you can't do it on your own.
Yeah.
right.
And thankfully, the family, I'm blessed with a family who, all of them
Mhm.
helped. And, in the hospital, for instance, to give you an idea, they only showered him once a week.
Mm,
They cleaned him up every day, for
okay.
sure,
Okay.
but really showering. And
Yeah.
we know that when you shower, you feel fresh. You feel more.
Mhm.
Um, it just helped. And
Yeah.
we went to the hospital every day
Yeah.
to shower him
Uh-huh.
every day. And we told him, we empowered him. He couldn't talk. He was
Mhm.
paralyzed.
Mm.
He couldn't talk. He couldn't walk. And we told him, you're going to walk again. You're going to talk again. We've
Mhm.
got homework to do. So you've got homework to do.
Yeah.
His left arm was still working.
Mhm.
Told him,
Mhm.
here's your toothbrush, brush your teeth. Why did I do that? Because I didn't have to do it for him. And it gave
Yes.
me time to do something else.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
So I asked for help. Han, my sister-in-law, everybody, can you
Mhm.
help? If you can go to the hospital tomorrow in the afternoon, then I
Mhm.
don't have to go.
Mhm. Mhm.
Then I can do some self-care,
Yes.
or I can at least go out for dinner with Martin and
Yeah.
have time with Martin as well.
Right.
Because it was not only Martin, it was my brother and it was
Mhm.
Miriam. I
Mhm.
had to divide my attention.
Three
So
ways. Yeah.
it's that was one of the techniques I use. I
Mhm.
asked for help,
Mhm.
a lot of scheduling,
Yeah.
also one of my tools.
Yeah.
But not only that, possibilities. I learned to look for possibility, what was possible,
Uh-huh.
instead of
That's
what
true.
was impossible.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot possible within
Mhm.
within your situation.
Mhm. Mhm.
My journey is not Ashley's journey or another caregiver's journey.
Exactly.
But what I learned is that I should never, ever say that's not possible. There's
Mhm.
always a possibility.
Mhm.
Always.
Yeah.
Taking care of myself was one of those things I said, Miriam, you have to do it again. While my brother was in the hospital,
Mhm.
he was recovering. He was not in the danger zone anymore. Martin
Mhm.
and I went away. We went on a 10-day cruise. It was a Christmas cruise. And I do remember that I was on the brink of a burn.
Mhm.
I was
Mm.
on the brink again. And I said, you promise yourself you're not going
Mhm.
to burn out again.
Mhm.
So we went away for 10 days, and it really, really, really
Yeah.
helped me to be with my husband,
Mhm. Mhm.
knowing that there were others taking care of my brother,
Mhm.
and rejuvenate,
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
care of myself as well.
Exactly.
So whenever I feel like, no, sis, not that way, but that way,
Right.
that's when I say, okay, give me my tools. I
Uh-huh.
call it my personal assistant SOS with an extra S.
Yeah.
I have my personal assistant
Yeah.
SOS, an extra S.
Yeah.
And these are the tools I learned. I learned not to ignore myself. I learned not to be afraid to ask for help. I learned not to
Mm,
do it alone. And not to think, oh, I deserve this. No, I am worthy of a
mhm.
wonderful life too.
Yeah, yeah,
Or think what others think. It's not my concern what other things, what others think. Sorry.
yeah.
Um, and like I said before, my journey is not Ashley's journey. It's not
Mhm,
the struggles are
mhm,
pretty much the same. So
mhm.
what I do is ask for help, know that
Yeah,
I'm not alone. Um, I don't feel guilty anymore whenever I take
yeah,
me time.
yeah.
Actually, if Martin asks, or my brother now asks me,
Mhm,
Miriam, can you help me with this? And I've scheduled my me time at that
mhm,
time when they
mhm.
want me to do something, or
Yeah.
they ask, sorry, I tell them, listen, as much as I love you,
Mhm.
I'm having time for myself now. I
Yeah.
won't be able to help you now,
Uh-huh.
but I can help you then.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
okay with you?
yeah.
Becoming more intentional with your
Exactly.
self-care.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely. And now that I think back, I wish
Uh-huh.
at that time I was able to think that I was doing an incredible job,
Mhm,
right? And
mhm,
um, the appreciation I got from them was, it, yeah, it felt so good, and it
mhm,
still feels good.
mhm.
Um, as a caregiver, you do the best you can,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Know that you do the best you can. You can
Right.
do more than that.
Yeah.
Um, but it's very, very, very important
Right.
um, to fill your cup.
Exactly. Exactly. So, Miriam, what I hear is having an agenda, having a schedule, delegating the tasks, delegating the responsibility, sharing the worth with everybody is incredibly important. And you were able to do that second round when you started realizing this is happening again. But now I have this this resource of people around me. So
Yeah,
how can we make this happen? And I'm not sure if you've realized it, but what I'm hearing too is you've indirectly impacted those around you as well to know that there could be a schedule and that they don't have to. And you've basically essentially single-handedly reduced the burnout they would have felt
yeah,
if you didn't do that. If you could have simply walked away and be like, that's not my problem,
yeah,
and people do that in this world. People unfortunately do that. They walk away from family members when things really get real and they're like, it's not my problem. I have too much going on. I need work-life balance. I can't do this. And they make up all these excuses for themselves. But what you did was you're like, nope, I need all of you. And this is how we're gonna do it. And this is
yeah,
how we're gonna plan it out. And we're gonna
yeah,
put it all on a calendar. And this is how we're gonna divvy up our time. And even if it was something as simple as I'll go to the hospital between this time and this time. You're going to make the meals for everyone. And then just rotate those roles
yes.
and responsibilities. Um,
It's so nice. What you can do is to that person is good at doing this. That
mm,
person is good. Use it.
mhm,
Yep.
Use it.
mhm. Yes.
Don't put Miriam in the kitchen to cook. Don't put.
Yeah.
But someone who loves cooking,
Yeah.
ask that
Yeah.
person to do the cooking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
that's your management leadership skill there with your background in management and communication is being able to identify the strengths and weaknesses within every different person. And if Jasmine doesn't have a car, then obviously Jasmine isn't the most ideal person to make the trip to the hospital every single day.
yeah,
But maybe
yeah,
maybe Jasmine's a really good cook, or Jasmine can babysit all the kids while
Yep.
the other sibling goes. And so there's so many
yeah,
different ways we can help, and just being able to find those individuals, pitch them in, delegate the task, and say, here, we are rotating these responsibilities, but this is what I want you to primarily focus on. And that will be tremendous help so that I don't have to find a babysitter to take time and go. And so,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Writing it down, really
Hmm.
seeing it,
Yeah. Hmm.
it will help you.
Hmm.
If you see it and read it, you will get reminded every time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
claiming your well-being, that's
Hmm.
something I had to learn.
Yeah.
It took me years to be able to say, no, 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 it's my time now.
Mhm.
We can
Mhm.
do it later. Just this is my time and I claim it.
Mhm.
My well being.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need it.
Because you're a person too.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And you can't take care of those around you if you're not taking care of yourself.
No.
So, Miriam, then now that you've gone through this and you've gone down this road, what have you done to turn this knowledge and this experience into something that can give back to the community?
Well, in August last year, 2020, I was talking to a friend I met online
Mhm.
who lives in New York, and we tried to schedule a meet and greet for months. And August was finally we had some time to talk, and she said, "Who's Miriam?" And I was telling her
Oh.
part of my story. And I was so busy talking, I didn't pay attention. And when I looked at the screen, I saw that she was a bit in tears. And
Oh.
I said, "Oh my gosh, that wasn't my intention. Maybe I should write a book about it,
Mhm.
my caregiver's journey." And she said, "That's what I wanted to suggest. Why don't you write a book?" I said, "Now that I mentioned it,
Mhm.
me, Miriam, writing a book? Nah, I've never written a book. Think about it, Miriam." Okay, I said, okay, okay. 2 weeks later, I started writing my caregiver's story, and she's
Uh-huh.
a writing coach. So
Okay.
she's helping me write my book, my first book
Okay.
about my
Okay.
caregiver journey. And at the same time, I created a 6-week online program.
Okay.
The techniques and tools I learned,
Mhm.
how to stay in my power
Yeah.
while taking care of my loved one.
Yeah.
I put it in a 6-week online program because it's so much content. I have so much nuggets, so many tips to
Mhm.
share.
Mhm.
Things you can implement in your daily life.
Yes.
That's
Mhm.
so important. I'm not a kind of person that says, okay, here you go. This is a 40-page book. This is what you have to do. No,
Mhm.
you have to
Mhm.
take action.
Yeah.
And that's why I say my clients should be able to implement it in their daily life.
Yeah.
Take action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Move out of the darkness.
Right.
I have been there, but I managed. I succeeded to
Yeah.
get on the other side.
Uh-huh.
That's it.
Wow, wow. So I love the name of your 6-week course. Please share with us and why. Why is it called what it's called?
I called it, it's called Caregiver 2.0. The
Mhm.
reason why it's 2.0 right now, you are caregiver 1.0.
Mhm.
When you're done with the 6-week online program,
Mhm.
you are transformed to caregiver 2.0.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Incredible.
are able to say, okay, now it's time for me,
Mhm.
and there's nothing wrong, and I don't feel guilty saying
Yes.
that.
Yes.
That's the result.
Exactly.
Or, oh yeah, I can ask these people, maybe they can help me. Oh, and it doesn't feel weird anymore,
Uh-huh.
me asking for help.
Mhm.
Or, oh yeah, oh, that's possible.
Mhm.
Right now, when I was in the darkness, I could come up with 20 impossibilities before I came up with one possibility.
Mhm.
Now it's the other way around.
Nice. Yes. It's all about mindset and how you take in that information and how you change it to make it more possible for
Yeah,
you.
invest in yourself.
Yes, yes,
Invest in yourself. In yourself.
yes.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
One of my favorite saying is transformation starts with a transaction. If you don't invest in yourself, if you don't take those actions, if you don't take those steps, you will never transform. You'll be
No way.
complacent, you'll be stuck where you are, and that's not a good place to be anywhere in life, whether you're a caregiver, whether you're, in your career, in your education, like those are all things you can apply. Transformation starts with a transaction, and that is
Yes.
incredibly important.
Yeah. It requires action as
Yes,
well.
yes. Wow, amazing. So, Caregiver 2.0,
Hmm.
but who are the types of individuals who you think are best suited for Caregiver 2.0? Do they have to have devastating news that impacts their lives, or what are the types of individuals that are good for that?
I love that you're asking this. Some of the caregivers don't even realize that they are
Mm.
caregivers.
Mhm. Mhm.
I
Yep.
recently talked to a mom.
Mhm.
She's taking care of her two daughters,
Mhm.
single mom, and she didn't realize that she's a caregiver
Mm.
until I started giving her tips.
Yeah.
And after a couple of weeks, she said, "Oh my goodness, thank you so much. I didn't realize that I was a caregiver."
Yeah.
So, people who are taking care of their chronically ill spouse, partner, child, friend,
Mhm.
as long as it's a loved one who is struggling
Mhm.
with owning their well being. That's very
Yes.
broad.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Very broad. Yes. Yes.
If you're struggling with
Mhm.
owning your well being when you take care of someone you love, chronically
Mhm.
ill,
Mhm.
Yeah.
caregiver 2.0 in
Mm.
so many areas.
Yes.
And that's why I offer a free call first, a
Uh-huh.
discovery call,
Yes.
and I ask questions
Mhm.
before
Mhm.
before you can make an appointment, schedule an appointment. I ask some
Mhm.
questions because I want to know if we can
Mhm.
work together.
Yeah.
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 That's
Yeah.
so important because I want to help, but I need to know if I can help you,
Mhm.
right? So I don't waste your time, you're not wasting my time. That's the way
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
work.
Right.
I want to see results. I
Yeah.
want to see results.
Yeah.
You've got homework to do, but so do I.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Miriam. I think that is so incredibly important and so so relevant in what is going on in the world right now that it's very timely, and your services are welcomed with open arms. And I just think, as a nurse, as a healthcare provider, um, how us as healthcare providers can also benefit from that. We
Yeah.
are 100% burnout, compassion fatigue,
Oh, yeah.
emotional trauma. We are feeling all of it, and this is just our daily lives. We come home to what we think is normal for us, and these individuals now, when we flip it, are different. This is their life, this is
Mhm.
what's on their mind all the time. their
Right.
their break to go to work is a break from the reality, even if it's just for 8 hours a day, 12 hours a day. And so Caregiver 2.0 is so incredibly relevant right now, and I can't thank you enough for finding the gap and the opportunities for something like this to become um, relevant and real, and make it a thing so that you can help people, because it's very back to what I was telling Ashley earlier, like it's very just unselfish of you to create something like this, because you are going to be saving so many people from the extreme burnout and the compassion fatigue and emotional trauma that they'll have going through the journeys, and similar to or different from what you two ladies have went through. One of the things that I speak about at work a lot is burnout and resiliency. And I was actually recently invited to Singapore for an international conference to discuss this. So I'm very, very excited about that. But this is my thing. Like just being able to tell people, it's okay to feel these emotions, but what do you do once you realize, okay, this is not healthy? What do I
Yeah,
do about it? What do I do?
yeah,
Right.
And being able to put all these nuggets and everything you have experienced into there, and let them take from what they can with a 6-week course, and then turning it into something that works for them, because again, not everybody's journey is the same.
nope, not
So
at all.
everybody's story is so so different, and how can you take what Miriam has to give and offer and make it your own and implement it into your life? That's
Yeah,
so
just start
important.
with looking in the mirror.
Hmm.
Start with being honest,
Yeah.
right? Look in the mirror
Right.
and ask yourself the question, do you want to go on like this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a difficult one, right? Because we discussed it in the last episode where, we're strong females. We are good. We are the last ones anybody ever checks in on. And, and no, we really do need somebody to say, "Are you okay?" and give us those 15 minutes, Miriam, right? To
Right.
cry and just release all of that to finally find yourself and know, okay, now I have to start changing my
Mm-hmm.
habits and my ways.
Right.
And that's so incredibly important.
And I
Um,
think so many, like I mentioned before, like so many
mm,
caregivers feel lonely and
yes.
uh, just I am I the only one that feels this way? And no, you're not. But
Mhm.
that's the beauty of what Miriam has created.
Mhm.
And she'll make you feel heard.
Mhm.
You will be heard.
Yeah, yeah.
Miriam has the key to unlock
Right.
the stress, the anxiety.
Mhm.
You don't want to be like us. Don't be like
Nope.
us. Get out of that box.
Yep.
Like we
Yep.
are here to tell you,
Yeah.
burnout is not cute. It's not
Mhm.
pretty. It hurts physically and mentally. You can
Mhm.
bypass all of it.
Yeah.
You can go to Miriam, go through her program, Caregiver 2.0, and then you can call Timeless Dream Events and we'll celebrate that you went through
Yes.
Caregiver 2.0. See how
Yes.
that works?
Yes. 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 Love that transition. I love it. I love it. I
You
love it.
know,
So,
to be honest, I am so committed to inspire,
mhm.
motivate, transform fellow caregivers
Yeah.
because I know there are possibilities. I just know it.
Yeah.
We just have to find them together. So
Yeah.
you're not alone.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
the beauty of what you do, Miriam, you know, and I'm not sure how it is in Europe, but like our government here in the States doesn't do well to recognize family caregivers and what we do. But for the beauty of what you do is you will recognize caregivers and what we go through and help elevate them
Yeah.
to that 2.0
Yeah.
caregiver.
Yeah.
Because if the government's not going to help us, we have to help us.
Mhm.
There you
Mhm.
go.
Yeah.
There you go.
100%. So, can I ask you two ladies how you met each other and okay, so how did you meet and then how did this come together to be a conjoined thing? Because I love this power combo. I absolutely love it.
I met her the same way I met my husband,
Okay.
Facebook.
Okay. Nothing
You
wrong
can
with that.
find boyfriends, husbands, sisters, brothers,
Yeah,
all
that's true.
every aspect. You can find it on Facebook.
Yeah.
I was looking for a support group and I ended up in Ashley's group. I said, caring for the caregiver, treat yourself. I said, I
Mm,
love this. I love this.
mm,
And I joined her group and we started talking a couple of
mhm.
months ago and one thing led to the other. And before we even realized it,
Yeah.
Ashley said, Miriam, how do you do this? How? And I said, Ashley, how do you do? And we started talking.
Mhm.
And now we are inseparable.
Yeah, we're sisters,
Yeah,
and can't nobody tell us different.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Wow.
both
yeah,
of us love traveling.
traveling
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
the resilient love that we
Uh-huh.
have for our husbands,
Uh-huh.
are the journeys we've been through, the
Mhm.
way that we participate in our self-care, some of it matches. And
Mhm.
um it's so funny how I think we talked about this just yesterday, Miriam, how if I hadn't decided to walk in my purpose and
Yeah.
create a caregiver support group,
Mhm.
would I have found my sister, not just my sister in life, but my sister in caregiving?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, uh our caregiving journeys match so much. It's
Right.
crazy. Like
Yeah.
I told my mom, when travel opens back up, we have to go meet Miriam. Like, you don't
Hmm.
understand. That's my sister. Something
Yeah.
happened. I don't know how we got separated, but that's my sister.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it's just so interesting. Um, and I praise God for the connections that I've been able to make
Hmm.
through just being obedient and walking in my purpose,
Yes.
finding my why and walking it out.
Yes.
And sharing our story.
Hmm.
Ashley always says, we are on a mission to
Hmm.
share our stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so needed.
It
You
is.
often hear stories of the patients, but not the one who's taking care.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, 100%. And it's needed in healthcare. You would think we have it all figured out and we take care of our nurses and our doctors and our social workers, anybody who's handling and coping and dealing, not dealing, but helping the patients and the families. We have our own, emotional trauma and stress that we go through, and
Of
we haven't
course.
figured it out either, and like in the healthcare system where you think they would have it all figured out. No, no. And we're losing good healthcare workers, good public service workers because of that, because it's just too much.
I'm
It's just too
sure.
much, and
It
people are
is.
walking away from it. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. And so I can only imagine how overwhelming it is being the family member, at home and enduring that. And that is your life 24/7, 365 days a
Right.
year. That is insane. So ladies, both this question is for both of you. What are some of the best resources that you have, that you would like to suggest to other people as well? So just, I know you've mentioned the Facebook group, so feel free to speak about your different groups that you share, but I think this is incredible and people need to hear this.
So my group is Caregiving with Me Time on Facebook.
No, I love
My
it.
website is www.meriamboldewijn.com.
Hmm.
There you can read a bit about me and
Yes.
the online program to schedule a free call. I'm also on Instagram
Uh-huh.
together with Ashley. We are on Clubhouse.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Um, just you can find us.
Uh-huh.
Send us a DM.
Yeah.
We are more than willing to help
Uh-huh.
uh, or to refer you to someone else. If we can't help, we will tell you. We are
Hmm.
honest. We
Hmm.
will tell you. So that's the way you can find me.
Hmm.
And I'm more than willing to share in the groups of both Ashley and I the
Uh-huh.
tips and what I do right now this week, sharing affirmations,
Uh,
sharing powerful sentences
mhm.
on my social media platforms. Think about them when you read them.
Mhm.
Think
Mhm.
about it. If you want to print them out, put it in a place where you can see it and read it out loud.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Use them. Choose your favorite affirmation.
Yeah.
Mine is I am worthy of a wonderful life.
Love
Wow.
that.
Wow. Wow. And Ashley, your group as well?
Yeah. So my group is on Facebook is uh, caring for the caregiver.
Mhm.
Treat yourself.
Mhm.
So for all the Parks and Rec fans out there, you'll get that little bit. Treat
Yeah.
yourself. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, so I just wanted to create a space where caregivers felt safe, where they could ask questions,
Mhm.
but most importantly, it's okay to treat
Mhm.
yourself. It
Yes.
is okay.
Yes.
There shouldn't be any guilt around it. You are allowed to take care of yourself.
Mhm.
So,
Love
yeah,
it.
that's
Now that you mentioned treat yourself, Ashley, a couple of weeks ago, Ashley did a wonderful job. She made those self care
oh,
boxes.
Oh.
Oh my
yes.
God, with a lot of nice things in it and so
Uh-huh.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank
Sold
you,
out.
Miriam. This is why we have to collaborate because we forget about we remind each other of what we've done.
Yes. Mhm.
Yes, I did launch a Christmas self-care box for caregivers,
Okay.
and it went really well. So I'm going to move forward with a subscription gift
Okay.
box for
Wow.
caregivers.
Yes.
The feedback I received from some of the caregivers, uh, I was blown away, and I was like, this is why I'm doing this, you know? So, yeah, I'm gonna move forward with, a Valentine's box, so we'll be rolling that out, probably by the beginning of the next week. So
Wow.
I'm really excited, um, because Valentine's Day is important for whether you're single or in a couple.
Yeah.
Like, self-love is important, just
Yes.
as important. So,
Right.
yeah, we're gonna include some things in the box for self-reflection and self-love. So
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm
Wow.
excited.
I
I'm
love
excited.
it. I love it. I love it. All right. So, Miriam, I'm not letting you off the hook without your billboard question. So, if you had a billboard, I heard you say your favorite phrase earlier, but do you have a different message or another message, or you want to stick with the same message?
Um, I would say don't underestimate your power.
Wow.
Ooh,
Mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
that's good,
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
man.
Straight to the point, but powerful, powerful message. Um, all right. Is there anything that we haven't discussed that you'd like to discuss, Miriam? Any last minute things?
Um, no, I'm so ready. I can't wait to. I'm so excited.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
I can't think of anything else right
All
now.
right.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for
Of
having
course. No, thank you too.
me.
Thank you both you ladies for just coming on and being vulnerable and sharing your story with the world and just putting it out there that you can find sisterhood and you can find relationships during your struggles,
Yeah,
and there are other people out there who have the ability to help balance you and help you find the light in everything and bounce ideas off or be a shoulder to cry on. But I love the relationship that the two of you have, and I can't wait for travel to pick back up so that you can go over there to the Netherlands and vice versa. And I think it's incredible, and I thank you both
It
so
is.
much.
Actually, I do have something for
Yes,
our viewers, listeners.
yes.
If you're a caregiver,
Hmm.
ask yourself the question right now: do I love myself?
ooh,
And what do
Wow,
I do? What do I
wow.
do to
To show
show
that,
that
yes.
I love myself?
ooh, we need to write that
Wow.
down.
I know. I'm taking notes after this. I'm going back and hitting replay and taking notes. My goodness, that is incredible. That's so true, Miriam. It's just we don't do enough for ourselves. We do for
Mhm.
everybody else, and this is just part of our innate personality. But we do so much for everyone else that we don't take enough time for ourselves, even though
Yeah.
we say we do. But once you ask that question, but what did I actually do? What
Mhm.
steps did
Right.
I really take? That's when you start realizing, well, no, I guess I haven't, huh? So, all
So true.
right.
Yeah.
All right.
What do
All
you
right.
do to
Yeah.
show that?
Yeah.
Come up with three things. Only three.
Only three. Wow,
Only
three
three.
things. I can't even know. I don't
Mhm.
even know if I can come up with one right now, much less three. Wow. But you're right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have to. All right. Well, thank you so much, ladies. It's been such a pleasure. I've had such a great
It's
time. Thank you
so
so
much.
much for making the time for me and just being my season premiere. And I hope that we are able to get this message out to the world and we can change some lives and really turn around some of the burnout that people are feeling out there. And
Thank
and
you so
and
much.
celebrating special events. Yes. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.